We're meeting today with Dr. Ashton from Windham Tech. Doc, thank you for agreeing to the interview. What have you had to talk to us about today?
Well, hi, James. Thanks again for having us back here. And we're right here at the high school, so if our listening audience hears a bell or a walkie-talkie, we're taping live. But we'd like to talk today with Jim Cardin, who's our department head in the manufacturing trade shop here at Windham Tech.
Okay, great. Jim, maybe you can tell us a little bit about your background.
Oh, gladly. Thank you for having me on the show today. I'm a graduate of Knowledge Tech. I had about 18 years experience in the trade. It was a very diverse company. We did a lot of different types of work. Well, it was military, it was commercial. We had our own product line, so it gave me a really broad background. In 1999, I left the private industry after about 18 years and started teaching at Windham Tech. This is my 15th year. In 2006, I was promoted to department head, and I also recently started teaching at QVCC in their manufacturing program. We currently have 65 students at Windham Tech and about 52 at Quinnebog.
Doc, I understand that you have a new strategic plan for each trade school where you'll have centers of excellence. What does this mean for Windham Tech, and what are the advantages and obstacles?
Yes, we do. James, our superintendent, Dr. Nivea Torres, who oversees the 18 Connecticut technical high schools spread across the state, has put together, in conjunction with the State Department of Ed and the State Board of Ed, a plan for continued growth for the Connecticut technical high schools. And Windham Tech is a real important part of that plan, specifically because our manufacturing program, where Jim Cardin is department head, has been recognized as a center of excellence for manufacturing across the state. And so what that means is that other schools and their teachers and their students will have the opportunity to come to Windham Tech to see a great manufacturing technology program in action. And what that means is that, as well as that, it helps us with our recruiting, it helps us with recognition across the state with the State Board of Ed, it helps us in terms of our partnerships with the community colleges, and it also enables us to place additional students in our WBL program.
WBL. Jim, what does WBL mean?
That means work-based learning. Our students, upon being juniors in high school, 16 years old, driver's license, being a decent student, having a better than a 70 average, are eligible to participate in this program. As a junior, they're allowed to be released from school 14 hours a week, which is basically 2 days. And as a senior, they go to 3 days a week, 21 hours. This is an earn while you learn. These companies, these aerospace companies, small machine shops, larger machine shops, they pay these students better than minimum wage, and these shops can teach more than we can do at Windham Tech. They've learned here and progress even further. It's very common for our students to leave here and go to aerospace companies where they're running $1 million machining center with $30,000 casting on it. It's not just job shadowing, they get right into it.
How does that fit with your curriculum? Do you do lab work here for kids to get hands-on training before they go to the factory?
Yeah, great question. Absolutely. It's a 4-year program here at Windham Tech. We have a curriculum that we have to follow. So, obviously before a student can go on a machine or a different process that they have to machine out in the shop, there has to be theory involved, safety theory, how the applications go. So we usually spend an hour or two in the morning where they're going to be in a classroom doing the theory portion of it, and from there it's like an open lab. It's run just like you would see out in industry. The kids are on the machines, following safety rules, working right from blueprints, machining parts.
Doc, I understand one of your teachers was given some award. Can you talk to us about that?
That's right, Jim. Yes, Mr. Cardin was honored with the award from the American Federation of Teachers. Either the American Federation of Teachers or the National Education Association, one or the other of them are the two major unions that represent teachers across the United States. And so the American Federation of Teachers, or the AFT, is the union that represents all of the teachers across all 18 technical high schools in Connecticut, as well as teachers throughout the nation. And one of the awards they have is called the Everyday Hero Award. And that's an award that Jim Cardin was actually recognized with at the national level. Jim is the National AFT Everyday Hero Award. And that award was given to him because he was recognized more than any other individual across the nation as someone who makes a contribution just through his everyday life, his everyday teaching, his interactions with students, and parents in the community in terms of just the good things that he does. And just the short version is that we have had some very difficult times here in the school with the loss of faculty, and particularly a faculty member who was a co-teacher with Jim. And this wonderful person, Gary Lutsky, who is actually a technical high school grad as well. He's a graduate of Windham Tech. Unfortunately, after several years teaching here at Windham Tech, was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer and became ill very quickly. And Jim worked with Gary and his family in terms of making arrangements for health and benefits and insurance and all sorts of things to try to make just for an easier transition for Gary and Gary's wife. And then at the end of it all, Jim was also instrumental in just working with our kids and keeping our kids calm, and then ultimately working in terms of finding a new teacher to be hired to replace Gary after Gary's death. And so Jim has just been incredible here in the community in terms of his presence and his humanity and working with kids and working with the community. And so that was recognized at a national level. And so Jim is our American Federation of Teachers Everyday Hero at the national level. He's going to be honored at an award ceremony in LA. Gets to take his family out with him. And we're just counting on him coming back after he's been out in California for a little while.
Hopefully he won't leave you after you trained him.
He's got to stay with us. That's part of the deal.
How many of your students are enrolled in manufacturing tech? I think you might have answered this, but I would like to hear that again.
Sure. We have 65 enrolled. We're pretty much at full capacity. 72 would be full capacity, but that's very hard to keep up because when they get, they sometimes have to move out of the area. So that happens. We do have an exploratory program. We're allowed to take 18 students as a during the freshman year. That's our max per contract. And I think the last 7 or 8 years, we've always been over that. So we've had to, unfortunately, refuse some students.
Turn kids away
in the program.
And what opportunities are available for your students once they go through your program? I mean, in terms of job placement or maybe secondary education?
Right. Well, the manufacturing is a large umbrella of different places that you could go into, whether you want to go into inspection, machining, CNC machining, welding, fabricating, get into management level, programming. So we have students that really take advantage of all those areas. And having a diverse field like that with a diverse student body, it works out very well. Some of them do go to college in lieu of the manufacturing. Some of them go to college directly related to manufacturing. But lately we've been seeing a large portion of the students going into the workforce and taking advantage of these businesses that will also provide college tuition. So they'll work full time and take courses at night.
That's great.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier that you teach at QVCC, and what do you teach over there?
Well, I did 2 courses in the fall. I did a bench work course and a grinding course. This spring semester I'm doing a milling 2. It's a 1-year certificate program. It's very intense, very involved. It runs 5 days a week. Students show up at 2 o'clock, and a lot of times they're there till 9 o'clock at night. But it covers milling 1, lathe, it covers CNC, quality control. There's math classes they have to take, blueprint reading courses they have to take. So it's after the 1-year certificate, they'll have earned 34 college credits.
Wow.
Which could go to the next year toward their associates if they choose.
Doc, you had mentioned it when we asked about the strategic plan, and I thought you had mentioned something about the manufacturing curriculum. And do all tech schools offer that? Jim was telling me that there was some cutbacks years ago, and I'm just wondering if going back or if this school is a center of excellence for that.
Out of the 17 tech schools, 13 of our Connecticut technical schools offer manufacturing. So we're very pleased that out of those 13, we're viewed as the one that sets the pace and sets the example. And maybe something that I would just elaborate on, in fact, along with Jim's teaching at QVCC in Danielson, is that because of Jim's expertise and his influence, we're able to work with QVCC downtown here at Willimantic, along with the Danielson branch, and we're looking to, through QVCC, bring some courses here to Windham Tech next year, where we're going to start a joint enrollment program where our students at Windham Tech, as well as people throughout the community, are going to be able to come to Windham Tech and take some coursework in conjunction with QVCC. And QV has been so impressed with Windham Tech that they're going to give us 8 tuition-free slots for students here, our students, so that they can get started. And so Jim and I are very excited about starting a collaborative kind of a venture between QV and Windham Tech, which is going to be just great in terms of skills for our students, and it's going to be good for the community. It's going to be good for the economy.
This has been great information. Do you have any closing comments, or do we miss anything, Jim?
I'd like to just talk about one of our last jobs that we did, because we also do production work. We do work for the community. We had the University of Hartford contact us, and it was, what I like about this is they went to quite a few other community colleges and a lot of the technical schools. They're working on a prosthetic foot, and we took the job on, and other people, for whatever reasons, could declined it. It came out really well. We actually made two feet so far, because, with prototype work, you make one, they take a look at it. It's all for the biomedical engineering department. So, we made the first one, brought it up to them, they made some adjustments, we made another one. They have their final presentation on Friday, and they invited us, Windham Tech, myself, and our students to go up there for their final presentation, a tour of their biomedical lab. They're going to provide lunch for us, and it was really, really nice for our students to work with these college students in collaboration with, making this prosthetic foot. It was really exciting.
Well, it sounds like a good program and product, especially with returning vets who may have been injured in the war. Dr. Ashton, do you have any other closing comments to make?
Sure, thanks, Jim. I'd just like to elaborate a little on what Jim had said about these prosthetics. And it really speaks, once again, it goes all the way back to Jim being an everyday hero, because we had these 2 senior biomechanical engineering students just walk into the school and ask Jim if he could take this project on. And they asked him if he could take the project on at our expense. And Jim, being the kind of teacher that he is, he said he didn't even have to stop and get permission. He knew he could cover it, and he said, sure, we can do that. And so the beauty of this project is that it's actually a humanitarian project. Not only can it address our vets, but specifically the students at UHART are looking to have these prosthetic devices go to third world countries where people have been amputated. They've had limbs amputated as a result of civil war and as a result of terrorism. And so we're looking to help in these prototype designs, actually sending prosthetics to people in countries like Sierra Leone or Uganda or other places where people have actually been tortured as a result of civil war. And so along with our students learning a trade and getting an education, they're also learning to give back, and they're learning to have compassion, and they're really learning to try to change the world one person at a time. And I just envision that if this takes off and we can get support, that we can begin to develop prosthetic pieces for maybe, who knows, 5 people a week, 10 people a week, 100 people a year. And our students are just really excited at the prospect of literally changing people's lives, people who are much less fortunate than we are. And I just wish that our viewers could have seen the looks on the faces of our students when Dr. Mario Rico from University of Hartford came in and talked to them about the kind of impact that they can have. And so it's really a thrill for our kids and for Jim to go out to University of Hartford and actually see the prototype that they've developed, to see an amputee put that artificial limb on and take his first steps and see how that works. And then we can just tweak and refine that design. And literally, Windham Tech students and Jim Cardin and our shop can be changing the lives of people thousands of miles away. And so we're not just getting an education, we're not just earning a living, we're making the world a better place. And that's the thrill for us.
Well, I think Windham Tech is a stellar complement to the community, and I'm very happy to have a chance to talk with you both, Dr. Ashton, the interim principal, and Jim Cardin. Are you still interim principal?
Still interim principal through June. Well, the end of June.
Or maybe they'll grant you an extension.
Hopefully.
I think you've got a great program here. Thanks again.
Thanks, Mr. Finger.
Thank you.